Hello, everyone, and welcome to Toku Portal Podcast. I am Ryan. With me is.
Drago.
And welcome to Power Rangers Beast Morphers, Episode 6. Uh, so we open up with. Sorry, were you saying something?
I know.
Okay. We open up with Nate gathering data from the Giga Drones. I finally learned their name this episode. Yeah, giant versions. Uh, and I don't remember what he said, bunch of science jargon, but basically they can predict when a Gigadrone is going to show up now. Uh, I believe that's what he said, right?
Yeah, he did say that.
Okay, so this is kind of like putting them at a point where Go Busters started, where Go Busters had like the timer, where like, all right, Gigadrone Megazord in 10 minutes. And I like here that like we see how they get to that point. Like they collect data and gather information to like be able to do that.
Yeah, that was really interesting the way that I thought that they incorporated the Sentai stuff into the Ranger stuff. Like you get to know the process of how they are able to do all that, and I then that was really interesting in my opinion. They didn't actually start with it, or they didn't like magically show up. They have a reasonable explanation to how they got that, and it was pretty cool.
Also, so Devin is there and he wants more effects because they built model rockets and they want to go launch them.
No opinions on this because I did like this scene a
Uh,
lot.
like I get that Morphex is they're looking at Morphex being an alternative fuel source. I just the way Devin casually is like, "Hey, can I have some Morphex?" And then Nate just opens up a briefcase and gives him a tube.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty funny. But also the fact that I realized that how the heroes have so much Morph X that then
They can literally
then
just throw it away.
yeah, and it's not that it is it's like a thing something you need to conserve anything because the morphin grid has unlimited source of energy. The only thing they're doing is liquefying it. So yeah. And that is and so and it's really fun how the villains are the ones who are really have to conserve the morph X while the heroes can casually use it all they want,
Uh,
and that's pretty fun.
uh, even Ben and Betty have their own model rocket. They didn't build it themselves; they stole it from their dad. And then everything just goes wrong. One of the engines didn't go off, so it doesn't fly straight. So, after nearly killing Ben and Betty twice, while the Rangers just casually watch unconcerned, Ben and Betty go and chase after the rocket to retrieve it.
Yeah, that to be honest, yeah, this thing is I don't think so. The Rangers were like gadget. I didn't think the rocket would kill them because what happens later in this scene, and they are fine.
Right,
Because I think
it's not like it's a model rocket. It's not like it was gonna blow up. I don't think is Morphex volatile. I don't know.
yeah, it is.
Oh, but just the way that like the Rangers just stand there. Like at no point do they try to do anything to help Ben and Betty, who are literally running for their lives.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing about the comedy bit in like seasons that always bothers me is because even in Mighty Morphin and Dino Thunder, like no, not in Dino Thunder, in Mighty Morphin they always do this with the comedy the Bulk and Skull.
Right.
That whenever their lives are in mortal danger, technically,
And
The Rangers don't do shit.
like
Uh,
the difference is that those Rangers at least laughed at Bulk and Skull's misery.
yeah, but
Like I'm not saying
the
that's a positive thing. I'm just saying like they didn't just stand there straight face the whole time.
uh, I don't think they were straight faced because they did have expressions, but it just feels disconnected in my opinion. Like if it will be a monster that was attacking Ben and Betty, then they would literally they would fight the monsters, but not not when the something else is going on, and that kind of is a problem because it doesn't make like Ben and Betty like relevant to the plot as much, even if they try to like do make them relevant like how they do later on. Okay, I'm
Uh,
done actually.
uh, Next up is Devin's rocket. Uh, Ravi comments that the wings are whatever they're called might not be in the right spot, but Devin has done this like a million times in a video game, so he clearly knows what he's talking about here. And then Devin's rocket just crashes almost immediately, and Ravi says, "Yeah, see, I don't think you built it right." And Devin says, "Nah, I know what I'm doing. It was clearly faulty parts that I bought." And then storms off like a child.
Yeah.
Okay, so I get what they're going for here. Like, Devin is refusing to admit that he's wrong about something, and that's his moral lesson for the episode. My problem with this is a dramatic change in his tone from the previous episodes.
Yeah. The thing is that it's not that it's a dramatic change in the episode. The thing that happens later, but this rocket bit, yeah, it was a really a bit. They should have built it up like a bit better. But yeah, this was not great in my opinion because it just feels if the anger was toned down a little bit less, then it would
Right?
make sense like why like it would make sense to his personality, but it was a bit up a notch than
Like,
required.
like Devin is perfectly fine, and then Ravi suggests, "I think you made a mistake," like in a completely friendly way, and then Devin just goes off on him out of nowhere. It's a dramatic change in the scene.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, if it would be like no, if it would be like Devin like not admitting he's wrong, if that was the lesson and not the anger, and there was no anger, then in this scene at least, then it would actually be consistent. But yeah, it's just the anger that he showed in this scene. Kind of, I think that
It's
didn't
very
work.
off-putting and not in
Yeah,
like a clever way.
yeah, but maybe if they had like mentioned an one or two line in the scene about the previous episode, then I would buy it at least because he is frustrated from the stuff that
Right.
happened with his dad or something.
If he was already like having a bad day and he was just already upset about everything and like this rocket was supposed to be like, "Hey, this will help you calm down. It'll be a nice fun day." I would totally buy his anger. But he was perfectly fine walking in.
Yeah, that is also there, and then also the fact, yeah, the thing is that it's flowing from the previous episode, like it's a continuation. It makes sense for me. Like it makes sense that he would be angry for the previous episode stuff, but again, they should have mentioned at least one line or something like that
Right.
in at least before this, or
Ha-
maybe they should have showed him a bit
ha-
angry before this.
have him look like upset, like yeah, I'm not feeling great, but hey, this is gonna be my big pick me up kind of thing.
Yeah, that would be. like
Uh,
I'm fine with everything in this like happens in this episode with Devin. Like I can understand like that everything that's happening to him, but just anger is it should have been toned down a bit. I think he the actor overdid the anger and the being angry, in my opinion, or the director just
or
made him
like
more
yeah,
angrier.
like it could have just been the direction. Like yeah, we need the kids to understand that you're angry and irrationally.
Yeah, so I think that's a shortcoming of maybe kids television on the director, because the thing is that if the it just I'm not even criticizing the fact that he's angry. It's just that the anger should was a bit much.
All right, so in the cyber dimension, Evox is absolutely pissed that the Rangers have a functioning Gigadrone and wants his minions to do something about it. So they're going to. Uh, Meanwhile, at what's the facility they work for again?
Grid Battle Force.
I don't know why I forgot that. At Grid Battle Force, the Rangers are running a simulation for the Megazord feature on their mechs. Uh, and so uh, I'm gonna directly compare this to Go Busters because this is building off of our conversation we just had. I feel like this is one aspect Go Busters kind of did better, where Red Buster during the simulation, they're being attacked by a monster. They have to form the Megazord in the middle of battle. Red Buster would kind of like take on too much responsibility. He would. The whole point in Go Busters was that they had to get the timing right for the Megazord sequence to work. Otherwise, it would fall apart. But like they're in the middle of a fight, and so Red Buster would like counterattack the monster and like try to fend it off while still trying to do the sequence, and the timing would fail. Here, however, Devin just straight up ignores. Not only does he ignore Ravi's advice, he completely ignores an alternative option to that would like help out. Like Redbuster wasn't put enough faith into his team that like they would generate a shield to protect them during the transformation. But here Ravi straight up says we should generate the shield, and Devin just straight up goes, "No, we'll just fight back."
Mm, I disagree that Go Buster did it better. I think they're trying to have two different points with the thing. It's that
Like
in what do you
I
call
I
it in
I'm talking about execution.
oh yeah, that's true.
I'm not
Execution wise, Go Buster was a bit better,
like execution
but
wise, like Redbuster just didn't like he didn't realize that he wasn't trusting his teammate and he was taking on too much responsibility, and he realized like why he was in the wrong layer. Like oh shoot, like it's my fault. Here, Devin is just straight up ignoring any outside like information.
yeah, but the way I take it is the way I'm interpreting this is that I think it's just that Devin thinks, how you okay, basically in usually in games and other stuff, it's usually people actually go on the offensive rather than being defensive, and what do you call it, for like rather than being defensive or like generating a shield a lot of times. And that's the plan, like maybe like knock the enemy out, come form the Megazord, and then destroy the enemy. That was the plan that Devon was going for. And then since in the previous episode, he every time like he actually trusts his instincts, and he was the one who was piloting the Megazord the most. And he, at least from what I see, in my opinion, I think he doesn't think the team trusts him enough to pull it off. What do you call it? Rather than like him not trusting the team. That's what I think. I think he doesn't feel that team trusts him enough, and that's the reason why I actually am okay with this.
I I would be okay with that idea if I felt like that's what was happening at all when I watched the episode. But at no point did I get that message.
Yeah, okay. I think that's what I'm saying. Yeah, then and it just the anger, the level of anger that he shows
Like
is a bit much.
like yeah, like if he was angry at himself after that when his plan didn't work out, I would be more okay with how the scene played out. Like, all right, he's realizing that he messed up and now he's mad about it and know how to like he doesn't know what to do with that anger. But what actually happens is he yells at Ravi for no reason and then doubles down on it when the commander like calls him out on it.
Yeah, and from and then the reason why he is so confident of himself is because he basically in the previous episode, like we saw him like take on a giga drone with the shield and everything, and then and that's the reason for his confidence was. I don't know. The reasoning is also a bit flimsy, in my opinion.
But
It's
like
there.
right, like I'm totally justified. Like I totally understand that he would be angry with himself here. Like, hey, I feel like I had the answer before. I feel like I could have been that guy that has all the answers, and then hey, his plan didn't work out. Like that's a big letdown for him. So I could understand him being angry at himself. But instead, he yells at Ravi for offering an alternative suggestion and saying, I've done this before."
Yeah,
Like,
and yeah, that was a bit of a problem.
he literally yells at Ravi because Ravi said, "I think we should do something else."
Mm.
And then uh, when Devin's plan didn't work, Ravi said, "Maybe we should try it the other way." And Devin just goes off on him again. And then when Commander Shepard even like calls him out and is like, "What the hell was that?" Devin doubles down and said Ravi was completely out of line. Like this is not the same character that we were watching before.
Yeah, and it's just that this episode in a vacuum is really good, but it's just that Devon's characterization and the fact that he turned up his anger a bit more than required. Yeah, it's a problem.
Like it's all about execution. In concept, this episode is great. Devin is become a little like Devin's like stressed out from his dad, but he's also like a little confident in himself, a little arrogant rather, because he had that really good idea before, and then like things stop working out for him, and now like all that stress is building up. But the execution is that Devin is just getting mad at everyone around him for no reason when it's all entirely his fault.
Mm. Yeah, and but I do like the fact that I do like the fact that the commander is, I don't know, like in compared to previous seasons, like how in mentors are like a bit too involved or a little or not involved at all. I think Commander Shaw is
She's
moderate, like
she's got a
she's
good
like right in the
balance
middle
of like intercepting when she needs to.
and not being G from Samurai.
Uh, I
Okay,
don't remember.
okay. Basically, there was a guy called Mentor G who had no business being there
Right,
and
like
who provided nothing.
yeah, I watched the like first 10ish episodes before I gave up.
Yeah. So he was a bit too involved for no reason. So that's what I
Did you
think.
watch Shinkenger?
A bit, and yeah.
G's character in that one is more useful. He doesn't always participate, but when he does actively do something, they make it count.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
like at one point, like he
and
gives Yellow like this pep talk when she feels like she doesn't deserve to be Yellow.
uh,
Or
so yeah, I think I would enjoy Sin Kenja a lot
yeah,
more. But
or
again, the thing is that the episode structure is so similar to Samurai that I don't feel like watching it all.
or when Gold when like the monster comes in that swaps people's minds in inanimate object, Gold gets thrown into a piece of sushi, and he almost gets eaten by a cat, and so he becomes traumatized by sushi after, so that he can't even like transform because his device looks like sushi when he puts it together. And so the G in Shinkenger solves this problem for him by having the Kuroko like hold him down while G just shoves sushi down his throat. It's like, you love this shit. It's your thing. Eat it. You love it.
Okay, the thing is that in Samurai, did literally the same plot happened with the Gold Ranger, and it got resolved the same way.
Well, I can't tell you, but from my experience, things resolved in Shinkenger were usually more well executed than in Samurai.
Yeah, that's true. I don't doubt it because I saw at least from the first 10 episodes of Shinkenji what I saw, yeah, it was good enough and way better
Uh,
executed.
so, back to Beast Morphers. Ben and Betty trace the runaway rocket all the way to the secret hangar in the woods, uh, where its parachute did work, and it got caught in a tree. So easy enough. They just have to go and pull it down, and then they discover Roxy having found the entrance to the hangar, and she's like literally reporting back, like, "Hey, Scrozzle, I need something to get a steel door open." Uh, so they try like sneaking away with the rocket, and she sees them, gets mad at them, shoots her gun at them. It hits the jet on the rocket that didn't go off before. It goes off, flies out of their hands, and then the strings for the parachute catch onto them and pull them along with it.
I honest that this was a really funny, but also really I think it would have been better executed if they just would have shot the rocket at Roxy
Oh, that would have been
and ran
great.
away. Yeah, so I feel like the it was just such a missed opportunity here.
Oh man, I would have so much more respect for them if they aimed it at at Roxy when it was about to go off.
Yeah. And I did like the fact that they also informed the Rangers before, like
Yeah,
so
so
that they can come sooner.
like they see that shit and they're like, "All right, not good. Hey, Commander."
Yeah, but the rocket seems special. They should have fired it on Roxy because that was such a missed opportunity for a good comedic scene as well as the fact that to show they are competent. But then Devin and Ravi and Zoe show up in the SUV and the bike.
Yeah, Scrozzle uses an old fire extinguisher or something to make a monster that can melt things like steel, and so I almost called her escape. Roxy literally just walks in. Uh, Big fight scene inside the hangar. Roxy had set the Giga drone to wake up again. Uh, Pretty much all like unique footage. Uh, and then Roxy goes to lock them inside the hangar with the awoken Giga drone so that it'll just crush them. And then Ravi throws Devin outside the door before it closes shut so that he can get to his mech and open the hangar bay from the outside.
And yeah, I really like this fight scene. I also like the fact that the fact that the last thing the robot was gonna Gigadrone was gonna do was fire missiles. So the first thing he does in this episode is fire missiles. Like in
Oh,
previous episode when he was about when Red Ranger shut him down, he was actually gonna fire missiles.
that is a detail I did not notice.
Yeah, so in this episode it starts like when Morphex is added and he's a bit recharged. The last programming he was gonna fire, and he fires in this episode, and that was a pretty nice detail that I really liked. I really do like all the that's the and then also the fact that all the fight scenes in this episode were pretty good. With how the especially the blue and the yellow ranger using Roxy's what do you call the string thing to tie him up and then shoot the canister all the acid. And also I do like how the rangers were quick to react in the previous scene before morphing, where they just flip the table over and then the to defend themselves from the acid, just to show how dangerous it is. And that was pretty great.
Uh, and of course, like Ravi just kind of throws Devin out on a whim, like I have an idea, and kind of has to convince Devin like I got you out so that you can go and open the hangar from the outside. And so this is kind of Devin's lesson in hey, you should listen to your team.
And yeah, and then the next. Okay, let's continue.
Scrazzo teleports in during the fight and just kind of starts helping himself to technology lying about. Motherboard here, some wires there. Hey, Jay's head. That looks pretty. And they like last time we saw Jay's head, it was just kind of like a passing shot. But here they like close up on it 2 or 3 times. Like, hey, look at this. Like, remember this. This is important.
And the fact that I thought that they were gonna actually save the head, but the villain literally just goes away with the head, and I'm like, what are they gonna do with this?
Right, like, if Nate's not building Jay, then who the hell is?
Yeah,
Eh,
and but yeah, and then the fact that it's within the villain's position like made it was really interesting in my opinion, because now I don't know what they are gonna do with the head.
right, like, in Go Busters, Beat Buster was trapped in their effective cyber dimension because, all those, that entire, like, building full of scientists got stuck in there. And so that's kind of explanation of like, all right, he built Jay in there himself. So here, like, who's gonna build Jay here though? There's no one to do that unless unless they bring back that Vargoyle guy they mentioned in like episode 1.
Yeah, or maybe it's just Scrozzle is gonna build him maybe.
Okay, so
Oh no,
J-
think about it. The fact that the antenna dish thing that the Rangers and the avatars transformed into in
yeah.
3 4 episodes back, like the fact that Scrozzle stole it.
Oh, he did.
In, yeah, in the Ravi episode, he's like Roxy stole the antenna. What do you call it? The fact that to turn Ravi into Avatar, she has stolen the thing
Okay,
that.
so he Scrozzo is clearly collecting all the materials to make a new ranger. He is collecting everything
Yeah,
needed for Beat and Stag to exist.
or
Uh,
he's collect. Okay, I think he's also collecting. I think the reason why he's collecting those materials may be providing Evox a body.
Right, like I could easily see like, all right, he's gonna use Jay's head as the head for Evox's body. Because
Yeah,
Scrozzle even
and
says like, yeah, I'll get to work on that secret project later. And Blazer wants to go, what secret project? And Scrozzle says, shut up, you two.
mm,
Uh, so here's the thing though. Uh, Jay, like his setup includes the parts for Beatbuster, like the gold like materials on his body. They like when Jin would transform into Beatbuster, like they would leave Jay's body and boom, go on to him. So by that logic, like whoever actually builds Jay should be Beatbuster. Like the Jay's head right now in here doesn't have the gold part on his helmet that would go there, but because like Beatbuster doesn't exist yet, but I think like he's going to be finished at least by whoever becomes Beatbuster.
or maybe they just would ignore that part because in this season there have been a lot of original footage, so they could actually change the entire morphing sequence.
They could. They could just use like the version of the J suit that doesn't have that stuff.
Yeah,
But now I'm more curious though who is going to be Beatbuster because if it's not Nate, uh, I really don't believe it's Scrozzle, and we have no idea who the hell that Vargoyle guy is.
I know, maybe a villain for season 2.
Maybe. Um, I'm sure that if I like went looking through Go Buster villain suits, I could find one and be like, oh hey, that could be a thing. But
Yeah, at least people. Okay, you know the in Go Buster versus Kyoryuger movie,
uh,
the recent
the
the
you're
Dino.
right. The one that was basically a dinosaur reunion and had the Go Busters in it.
Yeah, yeah, that one. And there was like, okay, Japanese Golda had like a new suit kind of thing.
Yeah, like Super Grifforzar or something.
Yeah. So basically, what at least some people are saying is that they're assuming is since Golda looks like a gargoyle,
That
he
might be
could be
the
Vargoyle.
Vargoyle suit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that before, and I think I looked up the suit and went, yeah, that makes sense.
Oh yeah, I think I did. But yeah, that's what at least people are saying. But it could be wrong. So
Neo Grifforzar, that's his name.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm looking at it again. Like that, that is a monster that would be fitting the name Vargoyle.
yeah, and it's not that something that it's something that Power Rangers has done before, like the Neo Zeltrax thing they used in what do you call it, in Dino Charge as a villain. So from I think it's from the same movie. Yeah,
Zeltrax. Oh yeah, and he's yeah okay.
yeah, they use
Uh,
that suit in Dino Charge as a villain. So it makes sense that they could do that again.
they also used uh, the bear on Nero's suit in uh, Ninja Steel, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, but they like changed the helmet or like the faceplate rather.
Hmm. Okay, back to Beast Morphers, I
Yeah.
guess.
Oh right. Fuck. Back to Beast Morphers. So Ravi and Zoe are fighting the Robotron inside the hangar. Devin is piloting his mech outside when a Gigadrone shows up to interrupt him. It fucking melts his sword, so he grabs a hold of it and forces its spray into the hangar like bay, so to open the door that way. Uh, Ravi and Zoe defeat the Robotron, and then the Gigadrone inside the hangar wakes up, tries to blast them with rockets, and Zoe grabs Ravi and jumps like 40 or 50 feet out of the hangar. Actually, possibly more.
And
That's a pretty fucking high hangar.
yeah, and also the fact that they literally land inside the Megazord after that, that was pretty.
Right, their
I know,
Zords catch them out of the air.
yeah, and I really like the transition, and yeah,
Yeah. Uh, and then they go to form the Megazord, and Devin's like, alright, we got this time. And Ravi says, alright, let's put up the shields. And Devin says, okay. And they do it, and they form the Megazord. Uh, and then they defeat both Gigadrones, I think, in one hit.
pretty much, and it was a nice, like, what do you call it? It was a good episode for like the Megazord, but yeah, and it did really feel really good to finally see the Megazord. Considering we have, and now they also have the timer as an excuse to say that they within this timer they beat the villain, so they know when the since and then they know that when the Megazord is going to show up. Sorry, not Megazord. The Gigadron is going to show up, so they can form the Megazord again, which is interesting.
Uh, at the cyber dimension, Evox is pissed about the failure of a mission, uh, whereas Blaze and Roxy argue that it was a success because Evox was mad that the Rangers had a Gigadrone and now they don't. And Evox yells at them for trying that logic on him.
No, no. Actually, Evox yells at them because they wasted Morphex.
Did they? Oh,
Yeah, because
that's right.
they had to.
Yeah, because they use they like, or as either Evox or Scrozzle puts it, used so much to gain so little.
Mm. And Scrozzle's plan goes off without a hitch.
Yeah, Scrozzle comes in stealing the spotlight, like, don't worry, my plan worked. What was your plan? I stole a bunch of stuff while they were fighting. And this is where he, like, teases his secret plan, which very much sounds like he's going to build Evox a body.
Mm.
Which would definitely justify why he took Jay's head.
And yeah, and it would also be pretty cool to finally actually see the main villain. I don't know. It seems like something that they are building up now, and I was really interested in what they are gonna do.
So back to the Rangers, who have all calmed down. They somehow found Ben and Betty's rocket, fixed it, and then brought Ben and Betty in here for the surprise, like, hey, we fixed it, and they launch it again. And it goes off well this time. They still it was still stolen from their father, though.
And now they can just return it.
Yeah. Oh, and Devin apologizes to Ravi, and Ravi says, we're cool.
Yeah, Ravi was the star of this episode, to be honest.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even his episode.
Like when it comes down to it, like, this episode is good in concept, but my problem is the execution of Devin's behavior is just so. It just doesn't feel like the same character that I've been watching the past 5 episodes.
Yeah, and it is different, and also the fact that I also wanted a bit of Megazord movement, but maybe that's because Sentai footage. But
Yeah, they used all Sentai footage for the mech scenes this time.
and yeah, so I can't fault them for that. But uh, the Devon's behavior was a bit too much.
Like, I like characters that are realistic and have flaws, and I'm okay with the idea of Devin getting angry. But here, he was literally being a child, and he was not at all in his normal character.
Yeah,
But we're past that now, so hopefully we can get to uh, better written Devin in future episodes because Beast Morphers is still great.
6 episodes in, and then there hasn't been a bad episode at all. And I'm really surprised. Like it is this, even if the says were technically a season made by Neo Saban, and it's literally the same team who wrote Neo Saban seasons. So I think, and now I at least kind of understand that the problem might have been Saban himself.
Yeah, like when it comes down to it, if the producers say to make it happen, then the writers don't have much of a choice.
Yeah, so it's except the director, and maybe it's also the director that they hired before, but in at least in this season, it's literally the same team that who wrote
Well,
Ninja Steel.
I have a question. What is Saban doing now? What do
They
they
are
have?
they are rights holders, so they have all the some of the a lot of indie movies or like and Kevin Smith movies. So and they license that out to
Okay.
other people.
So are they actively doing anything themselves?
They never even actively did anything themselves, even for Power Rangers.
Okay.
They're just a right holding company. So anything that like even the games and the stuff that they do, it's just license. They just somebody pays Saban money. They get the Power Ranger license, and then they make, and they get money. I guess. Wait, yeah.
Okay.
Somebody pays them money, and then they can use Power Ranger license for whatever they want. And that's the reason why we got so many bad games because there were no quality control.
Well, I'm glad that era is behind us.
Yeah, and it seems that Hasbro is keeping Power Rangers a bit too like they have an eye on the Power Rangers project a lot more and lot more what do you call it in supervision compared to Saban.
Right, they're
And the
actually
fact
like
that
they're actually like keeping
yeah,
tabs on what they're doing and not just going entertain the 6-year-olds.
yeah, and also that what do you call it yeah, there's a lot more quality control in at least with whatever the projects they have, like even the projects that they had the Saban brands had licensed them licensed out. They're also keeping tabs on them so that it doesn't actively damage the brand. Because in my opinion, the reason why Power Rangers is not, it should have been bigger than it is. In my opinion, it's just that nobody actually gave it a time or effort whenever whoever had it in their hands. Like Disney didn't give Disney the people. The reason why Disney era seasons are good is because the people who were working on it actually cared about Power Rangers.
Right.
Disney actively didn't, and even Neo Saban, the Saban just wanted money.
Like
There was no quality control or even care put into these seasons unless the people who are working on it actually gave a damn.
when Disney picked up Wild Force halfway through and then they did the crossover with Time Force, like that was all original footage and didn't use any stock footage, and so that costed money. And then someone said, "Can we make Forever Red?" And the producers at Disney went, I don't know. You already spent a lot of money on that other crossover that didn't have any footage, but then we ended up getting it anyways.
Yeah, it was supposed to be 2 episodes long, but they actually had to rush it, and they couldn't even have a Megazord fight because they
I
didn't have money.
Honestly, I'm happy with what we got.
Yeah, I'm also happy with what we got, but again, it could have been a bit better if like they had all the writer, everything writing was done, everything else, but then they had the cast members as well.
Right.
Even there was it's in there even the shot where like they showed Cat dropping off Tommy to like wherever they were supposed to meet, and even they had other cast members from the previous seasons who were not Red Rangers who were supposed to return just for cameo, but they couldn't do any of that because
Uh,
Disney only gave them like 1 episode and very little money for that.
I think I read that Rocky was supposed to appear as like Tommy's butler, personal butler, but he just wasn't available for filming.
Yeah, he was supposed to show up as the other Red Ranger. And yeah, and it's just a bit of a bummer that in Disney seasons, the one, even if they were like most of them are great, except Mystical, which is okay, and Overdrive, which is terrible. The fact that if they actually gave a damn about the seasons, not Disney, but
I
I'm talking about.
I have to say, Operation Overdrive might just be the most generic and bland Power Ranger series I watched.
Yeah, even if the thing is that they are bad, worse seasons in Overdrive, in my opinion, like Megaforce, which is actively terrible.
Like there's
But
actively bad, but then there's just boring.
yeah, so the fact that it's just Overdrive is just so generic with everything, like with the hip hop. I think hip hop music at the for the opening, and I'm not talking about good hip hop. It's bad hip hop music, but
Did you
and then the characters also being very bland, except the Red Ranger, which I really like the relationship he had with his dad and the butler. Who those three were the only good characters in that season.
like what bothers me is that they had that whole look. It was clearly planned from the beginning because they were already foreshadowing it way back then. They had that whole plot twist of Mac being a robot. Spoilers for a Power Rangers show I don't recommend you actually watch. And and then after you get that revelation, it doesn't even matter. Nothing changes. Literally nothing. He could have been a human the entire time, and everything would have been the same.
No, it just gives a reason to why like the main the guy wants the crown because he wants to turn his son into a human being. But again, it didn't matter. That except the plot twist and the means to an end, it actually didn't matter that much.
Right. Uh, So, thanks for joining us tonight, everybody. We'll be back next week to do our usual rounds. Ryu Soldier on Tuesday, Zeo on Wednesday, and Beast Morphers on Thursday. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Bye bye.